we could mention. Well, here setting is okay. Well, Salam Habibi, how are you? I hope you are fine. It is me, Michaela de Santa. I am here with you. Accordance with titles, yes, today we are roasting Divija Bhasin in the topic of about successful man versus successful women. And now today's topic's keyword is India versus Iran. Uh, uh, I mean Indian army versus Iranian revolutionary terrorist. Okay. Now recently we got notified that a short of the Divija Bhasin. Here Divija Bhasin say some negative points that is extremely disgusting. Okay. According with Divija Bhasin's point is successful woman is more successful than successful man because successful woman is successful not only to achieve her goal but also pass the every obstacle she got from her husband and her family, and it is the points of Divija versions. But now here I can make sure that what is the definition of successful full persons and what is the definitions of objective hijacker persons. Okay, and now in these points here we can say, well, I could not show the significant points. I mean the significant shots because of the lack of device. And now let's check it. What's the moments? Well, now today's topic. Well, I think here I could show the topic points. Well, today's topic is uh, Indian soldiers versus Iranian revolutionary terrorist. Okay. Well, now here we can see what is the departure? Departure is Manipur, provincial state of India. And what is the arrivals? Well, here we can see the points. Arrivals is, what is arrival? Arrival is Bandar Abbas, port of Iran. Okay. Now let's talk about the flying distance. Flying distance. I think would call be the driving distance. Driving distance. And here, according with direct, that is almost 6,000 kilometer. And indirect distance, driving distance, we can say that is uh, that is what? That is almost 23,000 kilometers. And now let's check it the points. Well, man, tank, velocity. What is man tank velocity? That is 6,000 kilometer per second for direct, and here 23,000 kilometer per second for indirect. Okay, now we can see the points. Woman, tank, velocity. What is women tank velocity? Here we can see when direct distance is 6,000 kilometers, where women tank velocity is 60 kilometer per hours. When distance is 23,000 kilometers, women's distance, women tank velocity is almost 115 kilometer per hours. Okay, and now here is the points I would mention at the moment. Well, now here I would discuss that what is the velocity of, I mean, what is the definitions of successful man versus successful women when we are talking about the direct distance is 6,000 kilometers and indirect distance is 23,000 kilometers. Okay. Now here we can see here the mission is uh, for the Indian Army troops. Mission is to eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas, uh, where direct distance is 6,000 kilometers and indirect distance is 23,000 kilometers. Now, when the option is 6,000 kilometers as a direct driving distance, the here purpose is to contain the velocity of the tank to be 6,000 kilometer per second. And here man's velocity is 6,000 kilometer per second. Hence, we can say man is successful full man because he contains his effort to achieve the goal to contains the can with a tank with the velocity of 6,000 kilometer per second. But now here we can say the man is most successful. Successful man is most successful. On the other hand, why we cannot say women successful women is successful? Here we can here is the reason to be definitions. Well, now here Tang is here driving distance is 6,000 kilometers. When a woman is capable to get a military tank with the velocity of 60 kilometer per hours, here that is the point that she is a failure woman. And what that is the definition of failure woman, because here in the points the meaning of success is to get a tank with the velocity of 6,000 km per second. But women can drive 60 km per hours. Hence, she could not reach Bandar Abbas in 1 second with the driving distance of 6,000 kilometers. And here, that is the points. Well, women think that if women can get 60 kilometer per hours, well, if women can get 60 kilometer per hours tanks, she thinks that she is successful. But here the problem is she is actually failure. And here it is the real definitions. But accordance with the definitions of Divija Bhasin, the military woman is more successful than a military man because military man, just for what a moment. Well, because military man, uh, well, because military man can get a velocity of 6,000 kilometer per second tanks to reach Bandar Abbas in 1 second with a driving distance of 6,000 kilometers. When a man gets no obstacles, where women gets several obstacles from her family, and she gets 60 km per hour tanks to reach Bandar Abbas with a distance of 6,000 kilometers. And here, accordance with Divija Bhasin, the military man same to be same claims. I mean, a military woman to same claim successful is more successful than real successful man's accordance with the statement of Divija Bhasin. Well, now we could say that here is my points that I apologize to say that Divija Bhasin's contains no brains at the moment. Okay, and now here we can say the velocities as a direct distance. Well, uh, direct driving distance here. What is the about the timings? Here the timing we can say when driving distance is 6,000 kilometer hertz, military man can get tank with a velocity of 6,000 kilometer per seconds. And here the point is when military man tank can departure Manipur of India at morning 6 o'clock, March, um, uh, April 6, 2026. I mean, date is April 6, 2026. He can arrive Bandar Abbas at morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past, April 6, 2026. Because your velocity is 6,000 kilometer per second and uh, direct driving distance is 6,000 kilometers. And here we can see that is the definitions of real success. But what about the women's? Well, women address herself as a successful when she can get a tank with the velocity of 60 km per hour, where driving distance is 6,000 kilometers. Hence, what is the driving time? That is 100 hours, that is 8 day, 4 hours. And now, here we could say 8 day, what is the meaning of that? Well, the meaning of that is when Indian women can get the departure time at morning 6 o'clock, April 6, 2026, and she can arrive on Bandar Abbas at uh, April 14, 2026 at morning 10 o'clock. Okay, and it is the points. And in the driving time delay of 8 days, 4 hours, here Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas can be properly prepared in the enough time to fight against Indian women military tank. But about the Indian man military tanks attacks, Iranian revolutionary naval terrorists in Bandar Abbas contains no clue to escape from the attack of Indian man military tanks. And that is the moments. It is it is the difference between same self-claimed successful persons versus real successful persons. Okay. Now here we can see the points. And now we can say the moments. The Indian military order is when your departure is Manipur, India, you have to reach Bandar Abbas port of Iran in the driving distance of 6,000 kilometers in 10 seconds. Here, man tank can drive 6,000 kilometers in 1 second. Here, women can drive 6,000 kilometers in 8 days, 4 hours. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's, we can say women as a more successful than men because women can get the several obstacles from her colleagues, from her family, and from her boss. It is the points of Divija Bhasin's. Well, now here we can see the comments. In Indian militaries, here a man can cook his food and women can cook her food. But here we can see the as the cooking here is same obstacle between man and women. As an forming bed sheet, here is same obstacle between man and women. But when women can get the 8 days, 4 hours to drive 6,000 kilometers, and man can get 1 second driving time to travel the driving distance of 6,000 kilometers. Still, accordance with Divija Bhasin's, successful women is more successful than the successful man. It is the illogical mindset of Divija Bhasin's. Well, and here we can say that how there is a difference between logical me and illogical Divija Bhasin's because we can say the points. Now let's find out the difference. Well, women tank velocity is 60 km per hour. Man tank velocity is 6,000 km per second. Here, here we can see the driving purpose is 6,000 kilometers in 10 seconds. Now, who is successful? 60 km per hour tank is successful or 6,000 km per second is successful? Of course, here is clear that 6,000 km per second is a successful and 60 km per hour is a failure. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's, 60 km per hour is more successful than 6,000 km per second. Where is the logic? Okay, now let's talk about the second logic. Here, that is the arrival times. Here, the departure time is morning 6 o'clock, April 6, 2026. Here, order to arrival time is morning 6 o'clock, 10 seconds past at April 6, 2026. Well, man's military tank can arrive Bandar Abbas in morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026, where women military tank can arrive at the morning 10 o'clock, April 14, 2026. Now here we can see the points. Where is now here we can see where is arrival time of morning 10 o'clock, April 14, 2026, and where is morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026. Accordance with logical points, the morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026 is the successful point, man's successful because here man driving velocity is 6,000 km per second, where driving here we can see driving distance is 6,000 kilometers. But here, accordance with Divija Bhasin's, morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026 as an arrival time is failure, and morning 10 o'clock April 14, 2026 is more successful according with Divija Bhasin because women military tanks get the several obstacles from others at the points. Well, now here we can see the where is the logic, we could not say the point. And here that is the perception at moments. Okay, and now it is the direct distance. But now on the other, let's talk about the indirect distance. Well, indirect distance is here we can see. Indirect distance is when indirect distance is 23,000 kilometers. Here, orders of the tank velocity is 2,300 kilometer per second. Well, manned military tanks can contains the velocity is to be 26,000 kilometer per second. Here, departure time is same as a 6,000 kilometers orders points. Arrival time is same as a arrival time accordance with 6,000 kilometers as a of driving distance. Okay, now let's see, check it. Women's driving timing. Okay, what is women driving velocity? That is 115 kilometer per hours. Well, now let's check it. The points. Uh, Here we could see the facts at the moment. Let's calculate 23,000 divided by 115. That means here 46,000 divided by 23, 230. 4,600 divided by 23. That means 200 hours. What is 200 hours? That is 16 days, 8 hours. Well, that means women's departure time is morning 6 o'clock, April 6, 2026. Here, women's arrival time is April 22, 2026 at afternoon 2 o'clock. And here we can see the less compares. Well, man's military tanks with the velocity of 23,000 km per second, women tank velocity to be 115 km per hour. Well, accordance with logic, here order velocity is tank velocity is 2300 km per second. Now, when water tank order to be contains the tank velocity of 2300 km per second, well, man tank velocity to be 23,000 km per second is more successful than women tank velocity to be 115 km per hour. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's, women tank velocity to be 115 km per hour is more successful than man tank velocity to be 23,000 km per second because accordance with Divija Bhasin's, women contains the several illogical obstacles. Okay. Now, motion. How are you? Yes, I am fine. Shukran, Habibi. And now, let's get the moments. Here is the journey at the points. Here I can mention it. Well, journey is significant and our time is less as we could see. Now, let's get the points. Here, arrival time is morning 6 o'clock, April 6, 2026. Here, order to arrival contains arrival time to be morning 6 o'clock, 10 seconds past, April 6, 2026. Now, here, man's arrival time is morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past, April 6, 2026, where women will arrival time is Afternoon 2 o'clock, April 22, 2026. Now, where is morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026, and where is afternoon 2 o'clock, April 22, 2026? Here we can see the significant points. And to contest as surprise attacks, here we can say arrival time to be morning 6 o'clock, 1 second past April 6, 2026 is the success most successful than others. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's afternoon 2 o'clock, morning I mean April 22, 2026 is more successful than the first points because the second points contains women contains more obstacles than men. And here we can that is the points according to Divija Bhasin. And now, dear ugly sister Divija Bhasin, could you tell me that what is the logical points that women can be considered to be more successful than men? Well, here is no logics at the points. And now let's check it the moments. And here I can share the points to notifies. Okay. Well, here we can say man, tank, direct power, KP, kinetic force. Here calculation is almost 10 to the power 5 multiple by, well, 6 square multiple by 10 to the power 6 square. Okay. Now it is man tanks direct driving distance kinetic powers. Okay. Now here, how could I calculate it? Here is the significant points. And here, that is the achievemental points for me to calculate. Well, now here we can see the significant points to calculate is, here some things at the moment, we know the kinetic powers of tank is half of weight of tank multiplied by driving distance square divided by driving time cube. Okay. Now here we can see the direct driving distance is 6,000 kilometers, and here direct driving times is well, direct driving velocity is 6,000 kilometer per second. Hence, the result we can say the direct driving time is 1 second. And now here we have mentioned that, and here we can observe that driving timing square equal to driving timing cube equal to driving timing to the power 7 equal to driving timing to the power triple six, because 1 square equal to 1 cube equal to 1 to the power 6 equal to 1 to the power triple six decillion is always 1. And in these moments, kinetic energy is kinetic powers. And here we know that half of weight of Indian man military tanks weight is almost 10 to the power 5 kilograms. And now, hence, we can say that is the calculations to be 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 6 square multiplied by 10 to the power 6 square. And here now here is the significant journeys at the points here I have mentioned. Well, Now let's check it. And here we could see what is 36 is, well, what is 6 square, that is 36. What is 10 to the power 6 square, that is 10 to the power 12. What is 10 to the power 12 multiplied by 10 to the power 5 is 10 to the power 17. And here we can say the point to be, well, 3.6 trillion mega, okay, megawatt. Okay, and now on the other hand, woman tank direct kinetic powers, direct distance kinetic power calculations, we can say that is here, we can calculate as 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 6 square multiplied by 10 to the power 6 square divided by 36 cube, well, multiplied by 10 to the power 4 cube. Okay, and now what is the difference for women tank direct distance kinetic powers calculations? Here we can see when man can drive the military tanks, here direct distance driving direct driving timing is 1 second. But when women can drive the military tanks, here driving timing is the, well, 100 hours. Here 100 hour is 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 4 seconds. Hence, driving timing cube is 36 cube multiplied by 10 to the power 4 cube. Okay. And now, here we could see the significant points. What is 10 to the power 4 cube? That is 10 to the power 12. What is 10 to the power 17 divided by 10 to the power 12? That is 10 to the power 5. Hence, we can write the points 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 5 divided by 6 to the power 6. And here we could notify this that what is 6 to the power 6 divided by 6 to the power 4. I apologize. What is 6 to the power 6 divided by 6 to the power 2? That is 6 to the power 4. And here we can write as the calculation is 10 to the power 5 divided by 6 to the power 4. What is 6 to the power 4? And here the calculation is going to be interesting. Well, now here we can see 6 to the power 4 is 13 hundredths. Well, 10 to the power 5 divided by what's 13 hundredths. Now, what is 10 to the power 5 divided by 100? That is 10 cube. And here we can see there's 10 cube divided by 13. Well, and now here we can see the points. It is resembles like some things almost reliable to be 8 watt. Well, what is 8 multiplied by 12.5? That is 25 multiplied by 4. That is hundreds. Okay, now here we can see that is the writings 80 watts. Okay, now here we can say the man tank did it. And now let's talk about the more points. Man tank indirect kinetic powers calculations. We can see Kp equal to 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 23 multiplied by 10 to the power 6 entire square. I mean 23 square multiplied by 10 to the power 6 square. Okay. Now what is 23 square? That is 529. And what is 6 square? That is what is 10 to the power 6 square? That is 10 to the power 12. And here we can write as 529 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 is. That means here we can write here 52.9 trillion megawatt. Okay, 52 trillion megawatts. Now let's take the ones women tank indirect kinetic power. Here we can see the calculations. Now here we can see 10 to the power 5 as 10 to the power 5 enter multiple by 23 square multiple by 10 to the power 6 square, divided by 72 cube multiple by 10 to the power 4 cube. Okay, and now here is the points that what about the journeys at the moment. What is 72 cubes? That is 8 multiplied by 6 to the power 6. And here we can say that is the points to notify this. Well, what is 6 to the power 6? That is almost 46,000. Okay. Now we know that 10 to the power 4 cube is 10 to the power 12. And here 10 to the power 17 divided by 10 to the power 12 is 10 to the power 5. Hence, here calculations becomes 10 to the power 5 divided by well uh, 8 multiplied by 46,000. Okay. Now what is 10 to the power 5 divided by 10 cube? That is 10 square. 10 square divided by 8 is 12.5. Hence, here calculation we can see the points 12.5 divided by 46. Okay. Now, what is here we can see the points. Here we could write here what is 1 divided by 4? That is 0.25. Here resistance is 0.25 watt. Okay. And now here is the moments as we could notify the points. Well, well when the driving distance is 6,000 kilometers, Indian man military tank kinetic power is 3.6 trillion megawatts. And on the other hand, women military tank contains kinetic powers of 80 watts. Now let's check at the points. Well, oh my God. Here we can see the points. Where is 80 watts and where is 3.6 trillion megawatts? That is the significant points. When here driving distance to be 6,000 kilometers, here order is the velocity to be 600 kilometer per second. Okay. Now 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 divided by 1000. It is the order to be kinetic power to be 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 14 watts. That means 3.6 billion megawatts as a kinetic powers as the past order. And now, man military tanks contains the kinetic power to be 3.6 trillion megawatts, and the order is the kinetic power to be 3.6 billion megawatts. Well, man is 1,000 times more powerful than orders. But now, let's check it about the women's. Women contains tanks with the velocity of 60 kilometer per hours. Here, women's military tank contains kinetic powers of 80 watts. And now, order passes to the kinetic power of 3.6 billion megawatts. And here, women kinetic power is 80 watts. Well, here order is more powerful than women's. And now we can see the comparisons. Well, when man can contains the kinetic power of 3.6 trillion megawatts and women can contains kinetic power of 80 watts in the purpose of driving distance of 6,000 kilometers, here accordance with science, man is more powerful. But accordance with logic of Divija Bhasin's, women is more successful to contains 80 kilometer per hours. I apologize, 80 watts. Well, accordance with Divija Bhasin's, 3.6 trillion megawatts is failure and 80 watts is success. Now, what is the logic? So here we can see the points. And the logic of Divija Bhasin is women gets more obstacles from family, colleagues, and bosses, and men does not get any obstacles. But in the military points, here women can cook food, men can cook food. Women can form the bed sheet, man can form the bed sheet. Now here obstacle is same between two genders. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's, when man can get the tank with the kinetic power of 3.6 trillion megawatts and women can get the kinetic power of 80 watts, women is successful and man is failure, according with Divija Bhasin's. And now, here is the points that is the significant that can be discussing. Okay, and now here is the at the point of 6,000 kilometers. Now let's see at the point of 23,000 kilometers as a driving distance between Manipur of India and Bandar Abbas, the port of Iran. Here we can see the points when man military tanks kinetic power is 52.9 trillion megawatts. Here women military tanks kinetic power is 0.25 watts. Okay. Well. Now let's check it the moments. Okay. Now let's check it at the points. Here women. Now what is the order pass to be kinetic powers? Here accordance with past order for military soldiers. Here we could see the kinetic power to be the kinetic power of military tank should be 52.9 billion megawatts. And now here we can say the kinetic powers order is 52.9 billion megawatts. Indian man military tank kinetic power is 52.9 trillion megawatts. Here man is more powerful than the past ordered kinetic powers. Okay. Now let's check about the women's. Order for tank to be kinetic power would be 52.9 billion megawatts, and women tanks kinetic power is 0.25 watts. Now here we can see military order is more powerful than women driving a military tanks. And now let's check it the points. Here military tanks, let's check it the comparison. Here we can say the comparison is that military tanks, Indian man military tanks kinetic power is 52.9 trillion megawatts. Here Indian women military tanks kinetic power is 0.25 watts. Now here we can see the points. Accordance with logics, here Indian man is successful to get a proper kinetic powers. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's, Indian women's to be driver of the military tank is more successful than Indian men to be driver of the military tanks. Hence, here where is the logic as we could not see at the moment. Here logic is left the chat from the Divija Bhasin's. Here why I am saying, because here we can see that accordance with Divija Bhasin, women can get more obstacles from her military colleagues. Women can get more obstacles from her family. Women encounters more obstacles from her man boss. It is the statements accordance with Divija Bhasin. But the reality is, women can cook the food, men can cook the food. We are talking about the military points. And now, here is the several restaurants that can contain the best chef, where best chef gender is always man. But still, here we, accordance with Divija Bhasin's, women get obstacles that she has to cook the food for her children, her husband, and her colleagues. Okay. Now, that is the lame excuse as we could see. Well, in the base of the lame excuse, women can get the tank to be kinetic powers of 0.25 watts. And now, in the kinetic power of 0.25 watts, we are driving distance is 23,000 kilometers. Iranian revolutionary terrorists get the proper preparation times of 16 days, 16 days, 8 hours to attack on uh, Indian women's military tanks. But what is the points accordance with Divija Bhasin's? Accordance with Divija Bhasin, still Indian women soldiers is more successful than Indian men soldiers. And now, where is the logic? We could not see. Well, I think here Divija Bhasin's is more illogical at the points. Okay. Well. And now let's check at the points. Iranian revolutionary terrorist contains military tanks where driving distances 6,000 kilometers, and when the driving velocity is 6,000 kilometers per hours. Okay. And now let's check it. Well, now here we can see 36 multiple, the calculation of the Iranian revolutionary military, Iranian revolutionary terrorist tanks kinetic powers is 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 divided by 36 cube multiplied by 10 square cube. Okay, what is 10 square cube? That is 10 to the power 6. What is the divisions of 10 to the power 6 divided by 10 to the power 17? I apologize. What is the divisions of 10 to the power 17 divided by 10 to the power 6? That is 10 to the power 11. Well, now what is 36 cube divided by 36? That is 13 hundredths. Well, now let's check the points. Here calculation is 10 to the power 9 divided by 13. Okay. Here we can see the 100 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 enter divided by 13. Here we could see that is 8 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 watts. That means it is 80 megawatts to be kinetic power of Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank. Okay. And now here we could see the points. Let's check it the comparison at the moments. Here comparison is significant. The comparison is when man can drive. Well, when Indian man contains car, the kinetic power is 3.6 trillion megawatts. On the other hand, Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank kinetic power is 80 megawatts. Where is 3.6 trillion megawatts and where is 80 megawatts? And here we can see it is the best fortune for Indian man military tank to defeat Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank. But on the other hand, here we can see what about the women military tanks? Here kinetic power is 80 watts, where Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank kinetic power is 80 megawatts. Now where is 80 megawatts and where is 80 watts? It is clear that Iranian revolutionary terrorist can easily defeat Indian women military tank. And now here we can see the points. Accordance with Divija Bhasin's Indian military women tank is successful. It does not matter if uh, Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank defeat Indian women military tank. On the other hand, accordance with statement of Divija Bhasin's, Indian man military tank is failure. It does not matter if Indian man military tank can defeat Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank. Well, now here we can see that why we hate Divija Bhasin's. And here we can notify at the moment. When here is the topic of the Divija Bhasin's to be hated, and it is simple. She deserves to be hated. Okay. Now let's check it the moments. Well, now let's check it the points. Now, when the driving distance is 23,000 kilometers, well, Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank can contain the velocity of 23,000 kilometers per hour. Okay, and now let's check it. What is the kinetic powers of Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank? And here, that is the significant moments, and that can be acceptable. Well, the calculation is 10 to the power 5 multiplied by 23 square multiplied by 10 to the power 6 square divided by 36 cube multiplied by 10 to the power 4 cubes. And here, what is the divisions of 10 to the power 17 divided by 10 to the power 12? That is 10 to the power 5. And here the calculation is 36 multiple. I apologize. What is 23 square? That is 529. Here calculation is 529 multiplied by 10 to the power 5 divided by 36 cube. And what is 36 cube? That is here almost 46,000. Well, now here we can see what is the division of 10 to the power 5 divided by 10 cube? That is 10 square. That is 100. Well, here we can see the points. The calculation is 52,900 divided by 46. And here we can see the momentums. Well, I contains the forgot of others. And here we could notify the momentums. Here we can see, well, here we can 529 divided by 46. Well, here we can see the points. 46, 52 divided by 46 is 52 subtract by 46 is 6. Here we can see 69. Now here we can see the 46, 69 subtract by 46. And here 3, 2, 11.5. Okay. Now what is 11.5 multiplied by 100? Okay. What is 11.5 multiplied by 100? That is 11,500. And here we could see there's a Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank kinetic power is 11,500 watts. On the other hand, Indian manned military tanks contains kinetic powers of 52.9 trillion megawatts. But according with Divija Bhasin's, Indian manned military tank is failure. Okay. On the other hand, when Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank kinetic power is 11,500 watts and Indian women tank kinetic power is 0.25 watts. According with Divija Bhasin's, Indian women military tank is successful. Okay. Now, here we can observe that according with Divija Bhasin's, Indian women military tank is successful than Indian man military tanks. It does not matter if Indian women military tank can be defeated by Iranian revolutionary terrorist tank. On the other hand, it does not matter for Divija Bhasin if Indian man military tanks can defeat Iranian revolutionary military tanks. Still, according with Divija Bhasin's, Indian man military tank is failure. And now, this is the points. Well, now, if a man can get less obstacles than women's, here when man military tanks kinetic power is 52.9 trillion megawatts, women military tank kinetic power should be 12 trillion megawatts. But here, women military tanks kinetic power is 0.25 watts hours. But still, according with Divija Bhasin's, successful women is more successful than successful men. Okay. Now, here is the point is, Divija Bhasin does not study that what is the definition of successful humans. Well, what is the definitions of successful man versus what is the definition of successful women? Here, Divija Bhasin does not know. Hence, she said some illogical statements like to this last streams, as I have mentioned. And unfortunately, I could not show it because of lack of device at the moment. Okay, and now here women tanks. Now in this points, the here direct driving distance is 23,000 kilometers. Here we can say women are less powerful than men, but still, according to Divija Bhasin's, women are more successful than men. What is the logic here? I think logic left the chat of Divija Bhasin's here, and I have, well, I contents a doubt. Perhaps Divija Bhasin does not study in any school where she claimed to be bachelor student of Ambedkar University as a department of psychology. Okay. Now here we can see that there's we know that what is the department of psychology. Here we could see that who is successful genders when the topic is to eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas. And I believe that I know that I did not study in any psychology, but I have, I think I contains more psychological logic and I contains more psychological knowledge than Divija Vasin's. And perhaps I contains more psychological knowledge than the honorable teachers of Divija Vasin's. Okay, now let's check it the points. And here we can see that is the moments. Well, I think here we can see man. What is the fuel system? Man tank fuel. What is man tank fuel? That is artificial solar arc reactor with temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius. Okay. On the other hand, woman tank fuel system is what? That is petrol. Okay. And now let's check it. Man fuel weight. Well, here option number 0. That is here 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 divided by well 2000, I mean 20,000 multiplied by 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666. Okay. And option number two, here option number ones, what is? Here we contain dimensions 529 divided by 10 to the power negative 7. I mean 529 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 is enter divided by 20,000 multiplied by 400 multiplied by 10 to the power triple six. Okay, and now here is the moment I can mention the points. Okay, what is 10 square multiplied by 10 to the power 4? That is 10 to the power 6. What is 10 to the power triple six multiplied by 10 to the power 6? That is 10 to the power 672. Okay. And what is 10 to the power 672 divided by 10 to the power 17? That is 10 to the power 662 divided by 10 to the power 7. That is 10 to the power 655. Okay. And here we can say the calculation is 36 divided by, here option number 0. 36 divided by 8 divided by 10 to the power negative, I apologize, 36 divided by bracket of 8 multiplied by 10 to the power 672 divided by 10 to the power 17, and that is the points. What is 36 divided by 8? That is 4.5. Hence here answer is 4.5 multiplied by 10 to the power negative 655 kilograms of artificial solar arc reactor with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius. Okay, and now here we can see, let's check at the moments. Well, here what is the points? Uh, it is the first options because to be driving distance of 6,000 kilometers. And now second option is the driving distance to be 23,000 kilometers. And here we can see, here calculation is 529 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 divided by bracketed of 20,000 multiplied by 400 multiplied by 10 to the power triple six, bracket close. And now let's check it. What is 20,000? That is, well, 20,000 joule per kilogram per Kelvin of artificial solar arc reactor with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power triple six degrees Celsius. And temperature we have mentioned. Okay, now here we can see what is the calculations. The calculation is 529 divided by bracket of 8 multiplied by 10 to the power 655, bracket close. Okay, now let's check it. What is 529 divided by 8? Well, 8 multiplied by 7 is 70, 56 is 8 multiplied by 7. Here, when 6 multiplied by 8, here we can say 52 subtract by 48, that is 49. Okay. Here 49 subtract by 48 is 1. Here we could see that is the moment 66.125 multiplied by 10 to the power negative 655 kilograms of artificial solar arc reactor with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius, where driving distance is 23,000 kilometers. That is man military tanks fuel system as a fuel weight. Okay, now let's check it. What is the women fuel weights? Here the momentums at the points. Woman, fuel, weights. Here we can see that is the significant points of 0. Okay. And here we can see let's check the kinetic energies. Okay. 36 equations of the calculations of Indian women military tank kinetic energy is 36 multiplied by 10 to the power 17 divided by 36 square multiplied by 10 to the power 4 square. What is 10 to the power 4 square? That is 10 to the power 8. Well, what is 10 to the power 17 divided by 10 to the power 8? That is 10 to the power 9. Okay, now let's check it. 10 to the power 9 divided by 36. Here we can say it is round figure. That's 10 to the power 1000 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 divided by 40. That is 1000 multiplied by 10 to the power 6 divided by 4. That is 25 megajoules. Okay, and here 25 megajoules divided by 100 divided by 0.8. That is, we can see 25 multiplied by 10 to the power 5 divided by 8. Okay, and let's see, that is the moments. Well, 312,500 liter of petrol women needs at the driving distance of 6,000 kilometers. Okay, now let's say the driving distance of 10,000 kilometers, I mean 23,000 kilometers. Here we can see the women military tanks kinetic energy equation is 529 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 divided by 36 square multiplied by 10 to the power 8. That is, here we can see what is 36 square, that is 13 hundreds. Well, 100 multiplied by 10 to the power 8 is 10 to the power tens. Now let's check what is this division of 10 to the power 17 by 10 to the power tens. That is 10 to the power 7s. Okay. Hence we can say the calculation is 529 divided by 13 enter multiple by 10 to the power 7s. And here we can see these moments. Well, what is 40 multiplied by 13? That is 520. Reminders is 9s. Okay, now let's check it. Well, for 4 multiplied by 10 to the power 8 joule is the kinetic energy of women military tanks when the driving distance is 23,000 kilometers. And here we can say what is the calculations at the points. Well, now let's check it. Well, 40 multiplied by 10 to the power 7 divided by 100 bracket of 100 multiplied by 0.8. Okay, and here we can say that is the moments 40 multiplied by 10 to the power 6 divided by 8. Okay, that is 5 multiplied by 10 to the power 6. Well, here we can see that is 5 million liter of petrol. Okay, now let's check it. Well, now here we can see the points. Let's say the comparisons. When the driving distance is 23,000 kilometers to eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas port of Iran, departure is Manipur of India. Okay, where military tank requires 66.125 multiplied by 10 to the power negative 655 kilograms of artificial solar arc reactor with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius. Here, women military tanks needs almost 5 million liters of petrols. Okay, why I have mentioned 100? The 100 is 2 multiplied by 50, where 2 is 2 joule per kilogram per Kelvin of the specific heat of uh, uh, petrols, and on the other hand, 50 is temperature difference of petrols. Now, what is zero point 0.8? The zero point 0.8 is density of petrol to be zero point 0.8 kilogram per liters. Okay, and now here we can see the points. In the driving distance of 23,000 kilometers between departure of Manipur of India and the arrival to be Bandar Abbas port of Iran to eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists. Well, women requires 5 million liter of petrol, but accordance with Divija Bhasin, women is more successful than men. Well, accordance with Divija Bhasin, man is more failure than women's. It does not matter. The man needs 66.125 multiplied by 10 to the power negative 655 kilograms of artificial solar arc reactor with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius. Well, and now let's take it the points. What is the cost of artificial solar arc reactor uh, with the temperature of 400 multiplied by 10 to the power 666 degrees Celsius in 1 kilograms? That is, well, 1 United States dollars. Okay. Now, what is the today's funds of 5 million liters of petrols cost? That is 10 million United States dollars. Well, now as a fuel cost, well, man military tank can eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas with the fuel cost of 1 United States cent, but still, accordance with Divija Bhasin's, man military tank is failure, but women military tank is more successful. Accordance with Divija Bhasin's, it does not matter if women military tank contains fuel cost of 10 million United States dollars. And now here we can say that is the significant points that we cannot trust women anymore. And here we can say, well, sometimes we military persons needs psychological doctors to recover our mental health. But accordance with Divija Bhasin's knowledge, here we can say she would, when Divija Bhasin is psychological doctor of the two military persons, where one is Indian military man and another is Indian military women, she would say Indian military man is you are failure, and she would say to Indian military women that you are more successful than Indian military men. And now it is the statements accordance with Divija verses. It does not matter if reality is opposite of the statement of Divija verses. And now here I contest doubt that if Divija verses does contain any knowledge about psychology or not. Because when Divya Basi is the student of Ambedkar University in psychology, here I think Divya Basi's psychological knowledge is less than the student of psychological bachelor program of Bangladeshi Jagannath University or Somalian Madrasa. And here we can see the points. Well, but here we could see the psychological bachelor student from Lahore University contains more psychological knowledge than Divija Bhasin, where Divija Bhasin is psychological knowledge from Ambedkar University and the University of Bath in England. And now, here is the points that how can we trust on Divija Bhasin's knowledge, where Divija Bhasin does not know that what is the definition of successful whole, and she does not explain that how successful women can be more successful than successful men. And here we can see, well, you contains a knowledge that how successful women is more successful than successful man. Then please write here the points. Okay. And now here we can see the today's momentums. Here, well, it is the points accordance with the military tanks. But what about the points of the air tanks? I mean, what about the points to contents and knowledge? Uh, as we could see, Sukhoi 37. Here we can see the moments. The Sukhoi, here we could now send the points. The flying distance would be 18,000 kilometers. Here we could see Indian man Sukhoi 37 kinetic power would be 32.4 trillion megawatts. When Indian women's military tanks, I mean Indian women's Sukhoi 37 kinetic power can be almost 33 watts. And here we could see, but still, Indian women Sukhoi 37 is more successful than Indian man Sukhoi 37s accordance with the statement of Divija Bhasin. And now, here we can say the Divija Bhasin's statement is the opposite of reality when the point is to eliminate Iranian revolutionary terrorists in Bandar Abbas, port of Iran. See you then. Khuda Hafiz. Love you.